You're listening to the Membership Site Success Podcast, where you learn from successful entrepreneurs how to build and run a profitable membership site so that you too can generate recurring revenue for your business month after month. And now, here's your host, membership site expert, Vic Dorfman.
On today's episode of the Membership Site Success Podcast, I am pleased as pie to have Rob Cubbon from robcubbon.com. And Rob is an entrepreneur that, like many of the guests that I've had on the podcast, is somebody who I began by working with them, and then I kind of found out what they do. And Rob is a real expert at Udemy.com, and now a lot of people sort of assume that a membership site, and I have this vision of a membership site as well, where you have this course that's behind a paywall, and you have all these videos and PDFs and checklists or whatever, but really you don't have to host your membership site. You can have Udemy or another platform, one of many platforms, do it for you. And the beauty of that is that you can leverage the organic traffic and the millions of users that these platforms already have, a lot like Amazon with Kindle and with selling physical products on Amazon. So Rob does a lot of Udemy stuff, but he's also doing several other things like Kindle publishing and building his own membership site on his personal domain. So definitely a lot of interesting things, a lot of cool takeaways, and even a little bit of personal story from Rob and how he made the transition to an entrepreneur. And I think you're really going to connect with Rob's story, and hopefully you'll learn some really interesting things. So definitely stay tuned, listen, share, and leave your comments. Talk soon.
I'm in the middle of the countryside here, but there seems to be a sort of a truck in the distance making a noise. So we'll be okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm not hearing it.
I'm pleased to say I'm not hearing your neighbours either.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. The street that I live on in Phuket, it's kind of nicknamed the Fighter Street because it contains several world-renowned gyms for Muay Thai and for mixed martial arts. So we have just a lot of young testosterone-bound young men staying here who need to blow off stress, maybe more than the average guy.
Well, very interesting, I guess. But good for. I mean, it's that's your hobby, isn't it? So you must be loving it.
Yeah, I'm really. I don't know. I guess I'm really thankful to be where I'm at, and it was interesting too reading your book, and I guess we can sort of jump into the interview now, midstream.
Okay. Yeah.
Because so you have this book called, let's see, Free Your Thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I haven't finished it yet, but I read maybe 50%. And the really interesting thing, the really cool thing about books is that people get to learn, well, they get to learn something valuable, but you also get to share something personal about yourself and build a bit of a connection with your reader. And when I read about your past and kind of the lifestyle that you were living, it resonated with me because I was a bit of a bon vivant, if you want to call it that, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I kind of got my act together and came out to Thailand. But maybe you could start kind of talking about where you were before you got into the online business game, and what your life looked like, and then how you transitioned into this online thing, and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, Vic, I'd be happy to do that. And well, thanks for having me on. And I've got to say that a lot of people have said the same thing to me as you just said about that book. It does seem to resonate with a lot of people, because I think a lot of people can identify with, just basically going to work every day. I used to work in London, used to get on the tube, which is the London Underground train, and go packed with commuters. It wasn't particularly pleasant, but when I got to work, it wasn't much better either. I mean, I didn't have great jobs. I didn't really have jobs, to be honest with you, I was working freelance, and I was kind of doing in graphic design studios. I wasn't doing design work, but I was kind of doing typesetting for print, and it wasn't very interesting. But I didn't know there was an alternative. Of course, this is going back a bit. However, the internet, was around. So that was me. That was where I was, and I think a lot of people can identify with that. And I just incredibly grateful. As you were talking as well before, how grateful you are. I'm incredibly grateful for what I've got now. I mean, even if you take away the traveling, even just working for yourself, it's just so much better. It's just so much better for you emotionally, physically, mentally, and if you enjoy the work, it's better again. So to answer your question, I think you were saying, how did I get online in the first place?
Yeah.
I just started blogging, actually, and I started blogging. What was I going to write about? I didn't really have much to write about, so I wrote about what I was doing at work, which was, as I said, kind of technical PDFs and other sort of graphic design jobs that needed to be done. And I started blogging about that in 2006, and I eventually got people phoning me up asking me to do work for them. But this was work that I could do at home. I could charge more for it. I was more in control, and I set up a business. I set up a company in England,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I got started.
That's really crazy. I actually recorded a podcast with one of my MemberFix clients earlier today, and it's a lady by the name of Jane Copeland, who's a very successful momtrepreneur, I guess if you want to call it that, in Australia. And when I asked her this question, she basically gave me the same exact answer. She said, well, I didn't really know what I was going to do, so I just started blogging. And
That's great.
She had just had a child at that point, so she knew she kind of wanted to focus on women who are in a similar kind of situation. So, like yourself, she started writing about what she knew, and eventually that led to bigger and bigger things. So that's really cool. Just getting started, just taking action. You have a vague idea of what you want to do, but you're just like, screw it, I'm going to take some kind of action towards the life I want.
Yeah, I think that's the answer. And I think we were blogging at least about what we knew about. We weren't doing the classic thing, writing about make money online before you're making a cent online, or something like that. So, I think that was a common theme. Just at least we know what we're talking about, and we're on solid ground, and that can help people, and you can start building an audience.
So at this point, you had your own company or your own agency doing web design, is it?
Actually, it was graphic design, but I then taught myself web design as I was getting asked to do websites. As you might imagine, it was 2007, 2008. So I started, and the graphic design brought in a lot of work. I got to say, so it's good to do graphic design as well as web design. Just like presentations and PDFs, they're pretty easy, and so there's a great market out there, still is.
Okay, and so how did you sort of start? Because I'm sure that at that point you were grateful to not have to, commute and everything. But then maybe did you start to feel that I've just created a job for myself and now I need to find some more passive streams?
A little bit, but not. I wouldn't say I was too unhappy, because the clients were very nice, and as I say, I was quite very enthusiastic about the fact that I had got a certain amount of freedom. However, what it was, I was really inspired by Tim Ferriss and Pat Flynn and Darren Rouse and all these people. I was on the blogosphere. But I was there I was blogging about graphic and web design, but all the blogs I was reading We're all about entrepreneurship, location independence, just the passive income thing. I just thought it was great. As soon as I read those words, I'm sure it was 4 Hour Work Week that probably first introduced me to it, the concept. But I was just, interested in the whole thing about blogging. So I started collecting the email addresses really, really early. I can't remember when, to be honest with you, because I just loved the whole thing of having a blog and communication and building an audience. So the I just eventually started with a PDF ebook on my own site. I should also say that another great thing I used to do was, and still do, is go out and meet other entrepreneurs. And so I was also going to meetups in London at the time. I think that helps as well, because you just get to talk to people and you hear what they're doing. You get inspired. So I wouldn't say I was, in any way negative about working for clients. However, to introduce other passive income streams into your business is a good thing to do for anyone, because clients, you're just swapping hours for dollars, and you can't grow another pair of hands and you can't grow another head. So the way to duplicate yourself is to make products or get some sort of passive income going, and that's the way to scale. So it's just sound business advice as well.
So, okay, so how did you make that transition into product creation? And I know you have, I think, what, five Kindle books and a few different things happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, the beauty of it was that there I was blogging about graphic design, web design, small businesses, marketing, and I was doing that in order to get clients originally, and it was working. However, it also attracted a different kind of audience. It not only attracted clients, it also attracted other graphic designers or other people who were trying to do this as well. So it had a wonderful sort of dual purpose. There I was getting the active income work from clients, but also growing an audience of other people who probably wouldn't have wanted to employ me, but would found my blogs and videos and whatever, my output, my content, useful in some way. So I then found the transition extremely easy, because all it was a case of taking the content from the blog and put it into ebooks and video courses. And also the big question that everyone asks is, well, what do I make the course about? What do I make my products on? And I had the answers already, because I had, from blogging, people would tell me, "Oh, that was good." Some things would do better than others, and you start getting emails from people saying, "What I really want to know is this," and of course I did the classic in my email list. I said, if you've got a question, just ask me, drop me a line. And I even did a survey. I've done a few surveys, just Google Docs surveys, asking people, what sort of thing do you want to read about? What sort of thing are you interested in? What sort of thing would you like to buy a product on? So it was really, wonderful that the blog just basically started everything for me, Vic.
So it looks like you had all your market research coming in from the blog. Let me ask you this: were the surveys useful, actually?
Well, yeah, of course. There's that old thing. Some people say, people don't know what they want until you give it to them. I just remember. I remember the reason I said that is because my WordPress courses do quite well, and they are building a WordPress site from scratch and getting it to look how you want it to. So because I was from a graphic design background, I learned all the CSS and stuff like that. So that was something that people wrote to me and said, I want to be able to create a WordPress theme that looks exactly how I want it. That's what I want. And that was, I wouldn't say that was my most successful course, but they do quite well. So that was one example of how the survey worked. Yeah, and I'm not saying do surveys, but I definitely get a lot of feedback from people. Every day I get emails, just people asking me, and even now, this is something I've started recently, but I really think it's a good idea. I'm offering free 10-minute Skype chats to people, and that's, I've just started that, and they're coming in, and so far, okay, I'd say the conversations I've had are fairly the same as the emails I'm getting. However, I do think that's that might well turn into quite a good idea for content ideas as well.
Okay, interesting. And okay, so at this point you were transitioning into creating your own products, and I know a big thing for you, and it's no secret, you blog about it on your site, but a big source of your income is Udemy, the Udemy platform. Can you talk about how you got started with Udemy and why you've sort of doubled down on it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny. It's funny the way it happened, Vic, because you probably would have heard this story before. So I was there. I was creating ebooks, and I had a YouTube channel as well because I'd been creating video tutorials as part and parcel of the blogging, and I always wanted to do. I always wanted to do membership sites because I just thought, that's the next step,
Yeah.
And so there I was procrastinating, as you do, in a terrible way, and I just found out about Udemy through a friend of mine who was another blogger. Okay, again, this is a good idea to keep emailing your friends online. Her name's Tara Roskel, and she was blogging out of graphicdesignblog.co.uk, and she happened to tell me that she'd made some money on a course that she'd put up in Udemy, and I thought, oh my God, why don't I just stick some stuff up there for the time being? It's going to be 10 times easier than making my own membership site.
Yep.
And seeing what happens. So I did that. And then, so on Udemy, you can create free courses as well as paid courses. And all I did for my free courses was bundle together a load of YouTube videos that happened to be in a sort of series. So it looked like a course, and called it a course on Udemy. And I didn't make any money, but I did get a lot of followers. And the next thing I did, as I saw I was getting good feedback from that, I then made a whole new set of videos that were much, much better, because my first videos actually were pretty bad, and then I put them up on Udemy as a premium course, and it started to make money. Of course, I had an email list as well, so I sold it to the email list, and that started making money. And of course, because it started making money, I then thought, well, I might as well just make a few more courses, and I started making a bit more money. And I've been there for 2.5 years on Udemy now, and every few months I start making more money than I used to, and the platform has grown. They keep on getting more and more funding. When I started on it, they had 1 million people. Now they've got 6 million users. So, of course, the downside of it is my desire to get the membership site, wasn't as great as it should have been. And there are also other online learning platforms, as I found out, that I could put my videos on, and there are other streams of income as well. So that tells you a little bit about the start of the Udemy story.
Is it exclusive? If you put a course on Udemy, are you not allowed to put it up anywhere else?
No, not at all. That's the beauty of it. You can put
Ah,
it anywhere you want. Absolutely, Vic. I mean, people that honestly, there'll be people listening to this that could really help. It might help them to consider Udemy and all these other online learning platforms. You can put stuff on YouTube, Skillfeed, Skillshare, Udemy, and make money from all. Um, that's incorrect. It's not correct that you can put stuff on Udemy, but you can put stuff on Skillfeed at least that's on YouTube, and you can make money from it there. The stuff on Udemy, if it's premium, it can't be free anywhere. But that's just pretty common sense, really.
you've kind of got me thinking about doing a Udemy course on membership sites, maybe.
Yeah, you should.
You know, a lot of people have said, Vic, you should make a membership site about membership sites. And I always say, well, you know, I know that sounds really cool, but if you really think about what that would look like, it'd probably be really, really boring. So I'd probably have to do something a little bit more interesting than that. But have you found with Udemy that there's a certain kind of marketing approach that is more effective? I mean, I'm sure you can put up a course and make sales organically because it's a big platform like Amazon, but if you're doing your own marketing, you're collecting emails, that kind of thing, how do you make the most of it? Because they take what, 20%, right?
Yeah, this is it does take a bit of explaining, Udemy. That's the problem. The percentage they take is it's very complicated. They can take 3% and they can take 75%. It depends where the student has come from.
Whoa.
Yeah, but really it's not. You don't really want to bother about that so much because you know it's a numbers game, and really the number you want to be looking at is your profit rather than the percentage you get off them. However, to answer your question about marketing, that's quite important because I found that surprise, surprise, the best way of selling the courses on Udemy is via the email list. So
Mm.
if you've got an email list, which I have, you can get sales right off the bat. And the other thing that Udemy does is discount courses a lot. So what you do is you price a course really high at say $99, and then you offer it to your email list for quite low, maybe $15 to $19,
Mm-hmm.
and they lap it up, and you can create the time sensitive coupons. So say it'll only be available at this price for 5 days, and maybe write a couple of emails like that, and then you'll get sales on Udemy, and then Udemy's internal algorithm sees you as a guy who's got a course and is selling it,
Mm.
and maybe getting good reviews in similar to Amazon as well, and then you'll get promoted organically within Udemy. But it is quite important to have some sort of audience as well, and also multiple courses as well. That helps because people tend to buy more than one product on Udemy. So it is good to have multiple courses there, but they are sold at a discount. So then I would advise people who are listening to this, and maybe yourself, to always hold a little bit back and sell the real premium great stuff on your own site where you're getting higher prices and you're getting more of the profit, or 100% of it. And so hold your premium content for your own site, and just put everything else on Udemy in small sort of 2 hour long courses, and that is the model I'm going for at the moment.
Now, have you experimented with different pricing models? Have you found that it's more of a volume game rather than a premium pricing approach?
Yes, that's what I've found on Udemy, definitely. That's the name of the game on Udemy. I think most people probably pay between $10 to $20 for a course, not much more than that, and that's what they're expecting. So if you're not happy with that, then don't go for it. It's not right for you.
So,
But I'm certainly happy with that.
so you don't think you could get away with selling a $200 course, for instance?
You can get away with putting a course on Udemy for $200,
Mm-hmm.
but you won't get many sales at that price.
Ah, I see. I see. And if you sell the free courses, do they allow you to integrate with your autoresponder so that you can build your list via those free courses?
You can. This is a gray area. You're, there are basically, you want to brand your courses. They don't mind you doing that. So all of my courses have my logo on them, sitting proud and pretty right at the beginning. And every time I start a video, I say, "Hello, my name's Rob from robcubbon.com," and that's going to get you the best. That's going to get you the best signups anyway, because people really like your stuff. They're going to Google you, and go back to your site. I don't want to go into the ins and outs because Udemy does have their guidelines, and I'm not too sure what they are these days. So, but you've got to brand your videos. Nobody's going to watch your videos unless you say, "Look, I'm this guy. This is my website. I'm a successful blah blah blah." Yeah, of course you're going to say that. So of course you're going to get people coming from Udemy to your email list. And I've got to go on to another point here as well, because you might have been talking about, can you sell to your customers on Udemy?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can. You can sell to the customers of your premium products on Udemy. You can send them an announcement, and that is in effect an email. It goes into their inbox, and then you can sell them another course. You can cross-sell to your heart's content on Udemy that way. But you don't. They don't literally. I've got 60,000 students. They don't literally give me 60,000 email addresses. That would be nice, but it doesn't happen.
Ah, I see. Okay, so then in your opinion, if there was one kind of tip that you could give to people who are considering selling on Udemy or just getting started with it, what would be your kind of overarching piece of advice?
I think I would say to go into it. I just definitely create multiple courses. I mean, just the only thing that I see people getting wrong is that they put one course on there and they don't do anything to it, and it doesn't sell. I think if you put a course on there and you direct a little bit of marketing to it, and the email list is best for that. You can also try with YouTube and Kindle, and create multiple courses. You know, make it a policy to put some video content on there as you go along, and then you'll see success. If don't just put one course on there and sit back and hope for something to happen. It might do, but it's less likely to. You've got to work a little bit at it, but you don't have to work as hard on Udemy as you do on Kindle.
Or on your own platform, for that matter.
Indeed, yes.
Which you're learning now, I'm guessing.
Yes. Well, that's where I am at the moment, and you know, it's been interesting. I've learnt lots, but I'm nowhere near your stage of development when it comes to the membership side.
So for the listeners, what we're referring to here is the fact that you're sort of trying your hand at hosting your own membership sites on your own website via WordPress and DAP. I guess you're on DAP now.
Yeah.
And are you taking the courses that were on Udemy and selling them independently, or are these brand new courses?
Yeah, no, that was my big mistake. So when I started my membership site, I probably had 8 different products or something like that. Video courses, 8 different video courses. I've got 12 different video courses now.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my big mistake. So what I did was, I'll put all my video courses on there and sell them at a monthly fee. And that was just so stupid on so many levels. One thing is, membership sites are quite difficult. At least I find that difficult. And it would have been a better idea if I'd started with one product, you know. Also, I'm going to sell to my email list, and it's just so much better if you just sell one product at a time.
Yeah.
You know, it's just keeps things simple.
Just more
rather
targeted.
than- Exactly. And I mean, I should have known better, but it's funny how stupid you are when you're sitting on your own in front of your laptop sometimes. But yeah, so what I should have done was, yeah, create something special, you know, something that's not anywhere else, and sell it. And I think it's better at first to sell what for me, for my audience, I think it's better to sell one-time offers, you know, a single price for lifetime access. I think further down the line, I should go back to the monthly recurring payments model, but it just doesn't seem right for my audience at the time. And that's the way you should do it on the membership site, and also warm them up to the products. Don't just suddenly say, here's a product, buy it. You know, it's a process of warming them up. And I've learned I've put the cart right before the horse on my membership sites. And now I have a big offer of 5 free courses, which you can sign in up to. And that's doing great at collecting email addresses. And then I'm going to put them through a funnel and upsell and downsell. And that's where I'm at the moment. So, but it's taken me, I've had a year of making stupid decisions. Would you believe it?
I would. because I think anybody who's been online and has made a single dollar, did 3 stupid things to earn that dollar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before they got it right. But at least you have all that content,
Yeah.
that you can repurpose and kind of arrange and sell.
Exactly. And that's what I'm doing at the moment.
So, but these are all one-off sales, right? So you're not charging on a recurring basis for any of these courses.
No, I used to, but I've taken that product down. It could be, I could resurrect it at some stage, but at the moment I'm not going for that. Because also another thing is that it's very difficult to create a sales page or any sort of description on your website saying you can have this for this much and this for this much every month. It's just very difficult to explain.
Yeah, and I guess the kinds of things that you're selling too is you're selling how-to courses on how to build a web design business and so on and so forth. It's like once that content is consumed, what is the point of continuing to pay? There's no stickiness to that kind of content, right?
Exactly.
So pretty much the bulk of your business right now, you would say, is one-off sales, right?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have in the future kind of plans to append a continuity of some sort to sort of, get a continuity going somewhere in your funnel?
Yes, I definitely have. I'm not too sure what it's going to contain. I'm really interested in a kind of done for you service with a very high monthly payment that might involve setting up a website and hosting and that sort of thing, and a real sort of high-end community. But I'm really not sure about the way I'm going to go with that at the moment.
Okay. And maybe we could talk about that a little bit once we get off the call, because I actually tried that with membership sites, and it didn't go so well.
Yeah, again, done for you services. You've got WP Curve, that are doing very well with monthly recurring, not membership, but monthly recurring fees. And I just think that there might be a way of using that model on a sort of WordPress, a done for you WordPress building and designing service, but I'm a long way off working out how that's going to work.
Yeah, and this is kind of a worthy topic in its own right, which is productized services. And they're kind of, you mentioned WP Curve. I think Dan Norris, who's one of the founders of WP Curve, and you're a member of the DC, right, Rob? Is that how we met?
Yeah.
And he sort of made them cool, productized services, and everybody's like, oh, I'm the WP Curve of graphic design, or and to be honest, I'm the WP Curve of membership sites, and that's how I got started with MemberFix, and it completely transformed my business because, well, it's like now I'm not chasing invoices, I'm not doing the hourly thing, or rarely. Yeah, and if, a lot of people think membership sites need to be information products or a community. It doesn't at all. It can be a monthly recurring service where you sort of naturally limit the kinds of tasks you do. You make it really pointed, really concrete.
Yeah.
And then you offer the services and somehow throttle the usage if you can. And people are doing really, really well with that model. It's not easy, but it can be profitable for sure.
Yeah, and utilizing outsourcing with it. I mean, I met somebody who was doing that. This is another example of how that model can work. Somebody who's doing podcasting, done for you service. So they do editing, they put it up on the server, they sort out your feed, they put it on iTunes and Stitcher, and it's monthly, and you can charge quite a lot for that. And I think that's another one. And you can outsource it very. Once you've got the team set up, and you can rely on the team
and the processes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I think it's a great idea. Just a lot of work to begin with, but quite interesting, I'd say.
I'd like to segue now a little bit into the Kindle aspect, just kind of touch on that, because I know a lot of folks think about self-publishing, and I've published a few books and I haven't really made much money with it, but just the branding element alone was worth the price of admission for me, because people see that you're an author, you have some good reviews, you've written about a topic, you're automatically perceived as an expert, but you can also make money from Kindle books. So could you talk about that aspect of your business a little bit, please?
Yeah, Vic, I completely agree with you there. That it's more or less the same with me. I don't make a lot of money. Say like on a good month, I might make over $1,000, and that would be a good month on Kindle. You're selling these things pretty cheap. They're $2.99 most of the time. So obviously you've got to sell quite a lot before you make a lot of money. However, I do find the whole self-publishing thing just so exciting. As you say, I mean, we are published authors. We can call ourselves best-selling authors. I know it's ridiculous, but it's true. I'm sure you got to the top of your category at some stage, and I did as well. So you are a best-selling author, and that adds kudos and authority. It's also a brilliant lead generator, or lead magnet, or whatever you want to call it. But you can put a call to action to an offer at the beginning and the end of the book, and it does very well in collecting email addresses. Yep. You can totally upsell from them, because I used to upsell Kindle Udemy courses. I used to say at the back of a Kindle, I've done a Udemy course on this subject, and if you want to watch this, watch how to do it rather than just read how to do it, then click this link and you can get the course cheap at $19 or $24. And they used to sell very well. I say used to because, of course, I'm now pointing people to my membership site from the Kindles. So it's a way of getting someone to make a small purchase at maybe it's 99 cents or maybe it's $2.99, and if they like you, a lot of people do, they'll go on to make a bigger purchase.
Yep.
So you can get their email addresses, and also, as I'm sure you've found out, the free days through KDP Select are absolutely amazing, because you're just putting yourself up in front of thousands of people that would never find you via the blog or any of the other channels, you know. So I just love it. And look at people like Steve Scott, because I've made a lot of friends who are Kindle publishers. And Steve Scott, you know, he wrote a Kindle book one day, made a bit of money from it, and he sat down every month since then and wrote a Kindle book and published it for about 2 years. And he's making over 20,000 a month on Kindle. And there are a few people like that, you know.
That's not bad at all.
Exactly. And he's got maybe 40 books, but it doesn't take long to write a Kindle book. I really quite enjoy writing. I don't enjoy so much the rigmarole that goes through it, all the various things you've got to do. You've got to get the cover done, you've got to do the editing, get the editing done. It all takes time, but you get used to it. After you've made, it's the same with video products, you know. After each one you make, the process gets easier the next time. So I've got plans for writing at least 3 or 4 more books, and I'm really looking forward to writing them at least. So I love Kindles. I love self-publishing, and as you say, maybe not for making huge quantities of money, but it's so good in so many other ways.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that, Rob, that it like most things, there's a bit of a Pareto distribution, you know, a bit of a 80-20 thing happening where maybe 1 or 2 of your books will account for a disproportionate amount of your income, right? Just like maybe 1 or 2 of your courses kick all your other courses' asses. And so it's a bit of a numbers game there as well. And the other thing I want to say is with Kindle, you have the opportunity to also publish an audio version of your book via Amazon's audiobook arm, which is called ACX. And the beauty of ACX, and I've done this with all of my Kindle books, is that you don't have to spend anything up front, because they have a whole marketplace of narrators, and you do a revenue share with this narrator. Now, obviously, if you have money to pay up front, you'll probably wind up making more in the long run, but it's sort of like you split the risk with the narrator, and even after the narrator takes his cut and Amazon takes their cut, my audiobooks beat my Kindle and CreateSpace books almost by 2x in terms of profits. So it's a very worthwhile thing to do that takes no time virtually.
All right, I should look into that.
Yeah.
I should look into that. And that's great. Thanks for that, Vic. I want to go back to your first point, though, which was really great, because you said you'll find that some of your books do better than others, or even do 80-20 better than others. And that's true. But I would also say that is great market research information, because maybe the book that does really well, you can then translate into a video course. Yeah. And it's so easy to make a video course after you've written the book, because you've got all the sections worked out, and you've got the linear direction of it worked out, and all the most of the words worked out, the chapter titles, the video titles. So it really is. The two things feed into each other really quite well, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've talked about Udemy, we've talked about Kindle. Let me ask you what kinds of tools that you find to be indispensable in your business, or kind of your most important online tools, services, apps, etc.
Right. Well, I was listening to one of your interviews, and I've got to go for ScreenFlow,
Right.
or Camtasia. I'm not great on tools. I always say WordPress because people don't appreciate it enough. But if it wasn't for WordPress, I wouldn't be here. So I should say that. I know it's obvious. And apart from that, I really just use the basics. You know, Google Docs, Gmail. I can't think of anything better than that, Vic. Sorry, not a great answer.
No, that's a good answer. I mean, because you don't need a lot of fancy, expensive stuff to make a go of it online.
No, not at all. I mean, decent microphone, of course. Spend a bit of money on your microphone if you're making video courses. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Well, I think we're getting sort of to the end of the interview. I think we've covered all of the major things here. Now, if you could sort of give people who are thinking about getting into the online business game, or who are in it but they're kind of struggling, they're not really doing that well, if you could give them a sort of bit of advice, maybe you could talk about your previous life as a bit of a party animal. I was hoping you could touch on that because that's just a really compelling thing to talk about.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I find it hard to do. I find it hard to imagine now the way I was, because but the thing is, everyone else I knew was the same as me, So we you'd go get to work. We weren't, none of my friends were married,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd come home and we'd just drink. I mean, I think England has a bit of a bad drinking culture associated with it. And we didn't see anything wrong with that as well. And I used to smoke. Cigarettes, and I thankfully managed to get over that. And then the weekends were even worse. I mean, this is every night I used to drink, but I mean, I used to drink in the weekends more than that. And it was just like, you've got free time, so this is what you do, And I look back to that, and I do think that was a wee bit of a shame, where I could have been creating things, I could have been trying to help people. I was miserable at the time and blaming my misery on just about anything else apart from myself, who was ultimately be to blame for all of this. And luckily, actually, I started meditating. I got into sort of NLP, and I started reading about Buddhism and just being more interested in the sort of more sort of core essentials of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the meditation that helped me give up smoking. I think that was a very, very big point for me, because after that I suddenly got bored of doing that, of partying all the time. This essentially is rather dull after a while. And got more interested in other things, and it just went into blogging and setting up WordPress and working out how web design worked, and working out how I loved the internet as well. I loved the internet since I first saw it. So it was, but it took me 10 years to set up a website, because I go back a bit. I remember 1995 when I was first aware of a website. It was 2005 before I bought my first domain, and it's shocking, really, because I was working with computers, and yet it took me all this time. And the reason for it was that I was literally rudderless, and I didn't have any direction in life. I didn't have any ambition or sort of inspiration to do anything. So I'm very glad and grateful that I did find something to do, and it came about through seeing myself as, saying to myself, look, I can change this. I can, if I try hard and do the right thing, I can improve my life. And the other thing I would say, just to anyone who wants to do something online, would be to create free content and make the free content as good as you can. and don't worry about giving away stuff for free, because I do all the time. And look who creates free content: Tim Ferriss,
Yep.
Pat Flynn,
Yep.
you
Eben
know,
Pagan.
Evan Pagan,
Yeah.
Richard Branson,
Yep.
Seth Godin. They all create bags of free content every day, and they're multi-millionaires.
Yeah.
So, do the math. Free content, that's a good start, So I hope that answers your question, Vic.
How old were you when you finally got into the online business thing?
I'm really old. It's yeah, just dreadful. And honestly, I'm sorry. I can't even work it out. I'm so old. But mid-30s, isn't that dreadful?
Hey, better late than never, I mean, some
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
It's interesting that the thing that you say about meditation too, now that we're getting deep, is that the whole idea of meditation, in a sense, is to bring your consciousness to a higher level, to get altitude, to borrow Eben Pagan's term, and to gain an awareness of your habits, of your motivations. And so many people around the world, and everybody is guilty of this, in their day-to-day lives or in their past, or even in the present, in various things like fitness, of just being sort of robotic. There's a whole field of study called automaticity, which basically studies the ways in which humans are automatons, and that we're slaves to, we're creatures of habit. We get in the tube every Monday morning, we go to the job, we somnambulate through the job, we go drown out the boredom with drinking, and then you just do that in a cycle, and then you die. And it's like, if there's not some kind of pattern interrupt to come in and say, whoa, this is my life? No way, no freaking way. I'm gonna change somehow. I don't know how, but I'm gonna start a blog. I don't know. And that begins it all, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was something like that that happened, and it's so true. That there is, even with me still now, it's still true. I still somnambulate. I'm still, there's times when I have my head down and I'm doing this, and it doesn't stop. You keep on questioning everything, and really try and get away with all the fluff, and get down to the basics of the present moment, and keep yourself on track, because everything you said, I completely went along with that bit.
And that, Rob, is sort of the I guess the essence of your new book, right? Which is Free Your Thoughts. And I'm going to have a link to your book in the show notes here below the podcast recording on vicdorfman.com. And go ahead.
I appreciate that, Vic. So that book is a little bit different from most of the other stuff I've done. In that, it's usually about how to start a WordPress website, how to start a web design business, etc. However, I wanted to write something about mindset, because other books had helped me so much. I at the same time, I started reading a lot of books, and I still do to this day. And just a lot of self-help stuff and NLP stuff. And, I picked up so many good tools. I wanted to write about all that and fit it in with entrepreneurship. And so that's what that book's about.
Okay, very cool. And where can people find you online? What's the main place?
Okay, the best thing to do is to Google my name, which is Rob Cubbon, Cubbon, and I'm at robcubbon.com. So fairly difficult name to pronounce when people see it spelt out, but that's who I am, and luckily enough, there isn't anyone else with my name. So now Google will do.
Wasn't that scrumptious? Thanks for listening to the Membership Site Success Podcast with membership site expert Vic Dorfman. For oodles of free tips, tricks, and tutorials on crushing it with recurring revenue, go to www.vicdorfman.com. It's what all the cool kids do, and you do want to be cool, don't you? See you next time.